welcome to the Uncovered webinar. We're so excited for you to join us and the Break Free team. We have here today Christina Campbell, Kayla Holland, Roy Middleton, and me, Kat Crawford. It's great to see you all because we are excited to dive into Uncovered. This is where students become detectives, uncovering truth and shining a light on the stories that should be told. In Uncovered, students will learn that climate change is not only a scientific issue, but also a social justice issue. And we're going to dive into all of the curriculum, the calendar, and all the fun stuff you need to get prepared. And to do that, I'm going to turn it over to Roy to get us started.
Thanks, Kat. Uncovered, as Kat said, is our initiative for the month of January. If you go to our website, you'll be able to access the resources that we have available for you. We have lesson plans for days 1 through 9 of the initiative. We also have a standards matrix that's under those lesson plans, and it basically lists each of the standards and the lessons. We have presentation slides. They're available in Google format, but if you prefer PowerPoint, there's a click here option to download it in the PowerPoint. We have our contest policies and guidelines, which we suggest you read and familiarize yourself with, as well as a button for our submission portal, which will go live when it's time to submit your entries. We have our calendar that we suggest you best adapt to fit your schedule. The suggested start date, as you can see, is Monday, January the 3rd. As you can see on the calendar as well, the submission portal opens on January 24th. And closes on January 28th. So be aware of the submission dates. That's all I got. Let's go, Kayla.
All right. I'm going to walk you through the content for our 9 days of curriculum for this initiative, Uncovered. So as Roy said, if you come in, as typical for our initiatives, if you look at our presentation slides on the website, you'll get our entire lesson slide deck, and all 9 days of curriculum is available there. And of course, they link to our lesson plans that are available. So the day 1 lessons is actually a launch activity. And the essential question is, what does it mean to uncover truth? So you know by now, if you've done our initiatives, they follow the same format. We have our essential question, we have objectives, we have an agenda for every single day. Day 1 is our launch activity. And so there is a digital-based activity and a paper-based activity. So you can choose which one you're wanting to do. The digital, this is all about if you've been to one of those breakout rooms in person where you get put in a room with your group and you solve clues to basically unlock the door and kind of win the experience. We've done that in a digital format and in a paper-based format. So inside of the lesson plan is all the content you need to know. There's an overview video. There are answers for every question, but it's a really neat launch activity for your students to complete and really get in the mindset of becoming a detective and uncovering those clues. Day 2 is where we really start with our content, and this is going to be really about climate change. So what do students know about climate change and global warming? Again, we have our objectives, agenda, etc. So we look at infographics specifically. How is this information presented in a visual way? Students then read infographics about climate change that we've provided in PDF format for you to really understand more about climate change itself. We have a think, pair, share activity, some classroom discussion questions to consider, and then an exit ticket that'll ask them to look at this image and explain what do they think climate change looks like. That's our day 2. Day 3, we take a look at more of the big picture and what are the top 3 causes of climate change itself. Again, we have our agenda, and our mini lesson is really about exploring climate change. And we have several pictures for you to show students. And we've also provided for you descriptions of these pictures, and then obviously where the photos were taken and the source to those. But if you look at these, you're able to read the descriptions in the speaker notes to students so that you as the teacher know more of what exactly is happening in the picture. So there's several of those for you to look at. And then you're going to rank those effects and the causes of climate change. That's our activity for day 3. Day 4, we dive into more of the journalism side of this initiative. I think this initiative is going to be really fun and unique because it does blend together the world of climate change, the causes, the issues, while also looking at journalism. What makes a great story newsworthy, and how do you write great headlines? And you're going to culminate that information into our contest, which is creating a 1-minute documentary that we'll talk about a little bit later. So day 4 begins our look into journalism. So how do you choose a story? What makes a story newsworthy? And again, our objectives agenda. So we dive into the idea of what journalists use in terms of determining what makes a story newsworthy. So timeliness, proximity, conflict, controversy, human interest, relevance, all of those things. And they have this activity that's a little bit like a Venn diagram where they look at climate change, and we've got some information for you in the speaker notes to talk about these. And then they look through these things that make a story newsworthy, and then they choose a topic that they're wanting to cover. But then, because journalists really have to be specific with their words, the exit ticket is for students to write a 6-word memoir. And you'll notice it says write this in your journal. One thing that we did include this time in our initiative is a note to self journal for students. So you can access this in a Google slide format, or you can access this in a PDF. And every single day, students, like journalists, will have something to write down inside of their journal. You can see there's the infographic activity. There's the ranking of the causes of climate change. There's our Venn diagram activity. So we're constantly linking between the lesson slide deck and the note to self student journal. Then we get to day 5, and we're still talking about journalism. We're talking about sources matter. How do you determine fake news? And when you determine that it is fake news, how do you combat that? How do you find good sources? So our big question is, what is fake news, and how can you not be fooled by fake news online? And it's this interesting story. There's a video of a pig saving a dog. And so we'd like for you to play that video and then get some reactions from students. Why does this video make you feel happy? Does it make you feel good? And then play this video, which really talks about how the previous video they saw was all staged. None of it was real. And then talk about how that makes them feel to be purposefully shown fake information. So then they go to their note to self journal, and they talk about who's your intended audience with the story that they're going to share. What's their overall message, the main points, and the evidence that they've gathered. And then we look at this test to talk about what are sources to use in their article. So it's currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. So we've got teacher notes down here for you. So discuss that fact checking is the most important job a journalist has, because it ensures that you are creating information based off truth and are not spreading facts. So then we get to day 6, where we combine climate change, climate justice with our journalism initiative, and we talk about who is most affected. And in this lesson, we will have a video for you to watch about climate justice itself. And we have a lot of real stories from real people all over the globe talking about how climate change has directly affected their lives. And so we're going to ask students to read several of these stories and take notes on them in their student journal, and use these as you move forward into your 1-minute documentary. So this is day 7. I know there's a lot of content in this initiative, but this is where they really start designing their 60-second documentary. So it's very quick, and we have several different ways that you can do that. So we talk a little bit in day 7 about what a documentary is itself. And then we have several examples that you can show. There's a whole YouTube channel that available for 60-second documentaries specifically. And then these are all linked as well if you want to look specifically at those. Then we ask them to write their own script. So in the note to self journal, there's a place where they can write a script. There's also a second separate document if they need more room. So we're asking them to choose what is it visually they're wanting to show on the screen, what's the content being narrated, and then to take notes from that. So if you look at your documentary, I'll show you just a quick example. So your image might be of a girl cutting a bottle. Then you might have an image come up of some tires, an image of 2 kids emptying a garbage can. And the total time of that is 10 seconds. but the narration going over those images is what you see here in the second column. And then the third column is just notes to the student: keep tone light, describe what actions, etc. So they're going to replicate that in their own on this script, and they're going to submit this script to the portal when you submit their actual video file. Then we get to day 8, and they're going to edit the documentary. We have this great lesson on feedback, what makes great feedback and what is not helpful in terms of feedback. And we offer this activity of a 4-corner critique. So hopefully your students will be able to collaborate together in class by showing that script and sharing with their other students, their peers, ideas they loved, positive criticisms, questions they have, or ideas to make it better. And then finally, day 9, they are building the documentary. And then hopefully you're going to submit that to our contest. So underneath the slide for building your documentary, we do have some links here for you and different options that for building that documentary that I'll talk about in just a second. So that is the content for our 9 days of curriculum. I know there's a lot going on with that. But if we go back to our webinar slide deck, I'm going to reiterate the calendar. So it will launch, the initiative itself will launch on January 3rd. And notice that we have some optional options, like you can, begin the initiative on January 3rd if you want. If you're still not coming back from break or there's a lot going on, we've officially asked that the initiative begins on January 10th. So you have some options here. We would always love for you to adapt this calendar to fit into your classroom and what works best for you. There are 9 days, so it is quite a lengthy initiative, but the submission portal opens on the 24th and it doesn't close until the 28th. So as long as you're submitting those video files and scripts to us by the 28th, you are good to go. So when you look at the contest, we're asking that you submit both the video file and the script that's completed by students. And so we've offered a couple of suggestions. You can have students create the 1-minute documentary, however that works best for you. All we're asking for is that video file and the script that goes with it. But if we've got 3 options. So if you have high tech, if you have access to a lot of things, you can use web-based programs like Adobe Spark or WeVideo, and you can create the entire version, the entire documentary inside of those programs. If you do have access to technology, Chromebooks, things like that, then you can use Google Slides to build like a stop animation video and use Loom for students to record the screen and their narration. If you don't have access to any technology, the low-tech option would be for students to draw images on a piece of paper, and maybe you as the teacher use your phone to record students sliding those images underneath your phone and having their voice narrate on top of that. We've created a much lengthier video to kind of talk about each of these options that's going to be available for you, I believe, on the website. We're going to be sending it out in our launch email, and it's in your lesson slide deck as well. So those are just 3 possible options. Again, you can do this however you want in your space, whatever works best for you. We just ask that when you submit the video file and the script. So if you need to, these are some possible options for you. I'm gonna turn it over to Christina now to wrap us up.
Yay. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions about all the information that was just shared with you, please reach out to us. You can always reach us at initiatives@breakfreeed.org. And even as you're teaching, if you have a question and you can't find a material, or if you're looking for PDFs of the materials because you can't access Google, just reach out to us. We have those available and want to send them to you because we want you to participate. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you have. Now is the fun part. We get to draw a prize. So we have all the names of you wonderful people that have registered for Uncovered so far. And we're going to select a winner from you guys. Our winner is going to receive a prize. So is it going to land on Clarissa Robison? Congratulations. We are excited that you and your girls over at Wilson Creek are going to be participating in Uncovered. So we'll be in touch and with a prize, Clarissa. But for everyone else, again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your interest in Uncovered, and good luck. We can't wait to see those documentaries, and reach out if you have any questions.